Y lo que quisiéramos es que ustedes, por favor, aprovechen este espacio para preguntarles a nuestros especialistas qué dudas tienen, en caso de que seguramente han visto cambios en la plataforma el día de hoy. Ustedes van a conocer un poco de cómo se dieron estos cambios y sobre todo de cómo ellos tienen todo un plan de acción para la herramienta. Y bueno, pues el panel está abierto para que ustedes, por supuesto, hagan sus preguntas. Como saben, a veces no podemos contestar todas las preguntas que nuestros asistentes realizan. Sin embargo, siempre vamos a tener un correo de seguimiento para que ellos justamente nos apoyen y contesten esas preguntas posteriori a nuestra sesión. Y bueno, pues es un gusto tenerlos una vez más aquí. Como les mencionaba, soy Tatiana Castro, me pongo a su disposición, hago parte del equipo de Elsevier y pues le doy paso a nuestros invitados para que inicien su presentación. Voy a dejar de compartir. Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Jonathan, for joining us today. For us, it's a pleasure to have you in our session. And I think we are going to have many questions from our users, but we are happy to have you here. So let's start, and I will stop share my screen, and I will give you the clue to share yours. Is that okay?
That's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tatiana, for your wonderful introduction there. And welcome, everybody. Should I say buenos dias, everybody? I'm sorry, my Spanish is so terrible, and I have to talk to you in English for the next hour or so. But Jonathan and I are extremely happy to be talking with you today. I just wanted to see, actually, everybody here in the chat, maybe you can just pop your name in and where you're from, because being on the telephone here, I always wonder, who is it that I'm speaking with in the world? We here are based in London. It has been raining all week, 7 days, nothing but rain. All our lakes are full again. All our aquifers are full. So, you know, it's got some benefits. But hey, look, we are really, really happy to see people. Melissa from Costa Rica. Hey, Omar from Peru. Amazing. Look at all these people posting in the chat. We got Judith from Colombia. Hi, welcome. Flavio from Colombia. Hi. Marco from Ecuador. Hi. Hi. Oh, wow. This is so fast to even keep up. Cindy from Colombia. Hi. Alicia, Ecuador. Wow. It's just so amazing how many people we've got here. I can see Williams from Ecuador as well. Man, you guys are all chiming in here. It's really nice to see you. Joining in from all over Latin America here. Javier from Mexico, Lulu from Mexico. Wow, amazing. Let me kick off. Just introduce myself a little bit. My name is Matt Stratford. I have been working here at Elsevier for 4 years now, and during that time, I have been working exclusively with Mendeley. I really enjoy being able to offer such a valuable software to the world and to have so many users. In Mendeley, we have over 2 million people using our reference management software every month, which I think is just fantastic to see. And every morning I wake up and I think, you know, I'm really excited to try and make life a little bit easier for people using our reference management software and our discovery tools, and we are so excited to talk about them today. I'll let Jonathan introduce himself before we kick off properly. Wow, I can see these locations coming in. It's just driving me crazy. It's so great. But Jonathan, after you.
Hi, my name's Jonathan Freeman. I've been with Mendeley for nearly 2 years now, working exclusively on the Mendeley Reference Manager. I'm primarily focused on the reading, annotating. What we're going to show you is the notebook experience. It's been many years since I spoke Spanish. I was born in Mexico, so just be careful. If you do say something, I will probably understand it, especially if you're rude, because that's where my language is limited to. But yes, I'd like to say thank you for inviting us, and I'm very keen to show you what we've been up to for the last couple of years. Matt.
Thanks, Jonathan. So with no further delay, let me dive into the presentation here. we have lots and lots to show you, and we're very, very excited to be bringing this to you today. If you do have any questions during this presentation, please don't hesitate to leave them in the Q&A. I don't read Spanish, but Jonathan does. He'll respond to some things maybe in line with the chat. Or if not, we can take the questions at the end, and we'll rely on our hosts to do the translation for us. But we will be happy to take any questions. So just as you realize them, just type them straight in, and they'll be collected by the moderators and asked to us later on. What we would like to talk about today is mostly to talk about updates, okay? We are here basically to simplify your workflow and to accelerate your research. This is Mendeley's mission, and it's what we try to do every day here in the product teams. We offer a suite of tools that work together in service of this goal. So firstly, we have discovery tools, which can help our customers, our researchers, and our students to find things that they need to learn more about, to view the abstracts, but also to stay up to date with evolving research in a passive way. And we have access tools, which help people to get to the full text quickly. We know how important it is for our users to be able to get to a PDF file or to get to a full text and be able to evaluate the research within. We know that the process of getting to the full text is so painful sometimes, and we're here to try and simplify that. So we have our Web Importer tool, which helps with that. We also have our Mendeley catalog, which helps with that, and we'll be demonstrating both of those products in this session. We have our Mendeley Citation tool. This is a new tool, brand new. It's come along alongside the existing Mendeley desktop citation add-in. We're very excited to be able to show and demonstrate this to you today. And this helps you to write reports and articles in Microsoft Word. We also have, of course, our standalone reference manager to help you stay organized and on top of all the different reading that you have to do, and to make sense of that reading as well with tools to help you to read PDFs that you've saved into your reference manager. The theme of the last 2 years for us inside Mendeley really has been to improve quality and to invest in discovery. With Mendeley Desktop is not going anywhere anytime soon, just to reassure everybody here up front. But what we found is that Mendeley Desktop is now quite an old piece of software, 9 or 10 years old. And it was becoming quite difficult to build new features in a quick and performant way. So what we've spent the last couple of years doing is rebuilding the Mendeley Reference Manager and our other tools so that we have a really solid foundation for helping you in your jobs today, but also being able to help you with your jobs even more tomorrow. I wanted to, before we kick off on the feature demo, just have this opportunity to remind people about Mendeley Institutional Edition. I'm sure that we have some subscribers to MIE on this call, also some people who are not subscribing. The benefits that you're getting from that are the ability to help collaboration. So MIE subscribing institutions have the ability to offer all of their users the increased amount of private groups for collaboration, having more group storage in each group, and a big increase on the number of group members that you can have in each group, up to 50 members per group. And within these groups, you're able to share papers in a copyright compliant way and collaborate on collaborative reading. We have usage analytics to help you understand your users and their use of Mendeley, which is available via the dashboards in the Elsevier Product Insights for Customers tool, which we usually call EPIC, because Elsevier Insights for Customers is too long. And we have our enhanced support for our MIE customers, including in the form of webinars, library support materials, train the trainer workshops, and others. And I hope that our MIE subscribers are taking advantage of each of these features. And certainly if you are interested in taking advantage of these features, the customer consultants facilitating this call will be happy to discuss this with you. We also wanted to just briefly touch upon our customer commitments to you. So in the news, we have had a couple of reports about, for instance, Mendeley not being able to get data out into Sotero, for instance, and we just want to reassure you that is actually not the case. We are secure and private. We don't sell personal user data. We don't have a business that's built on advertising and building profiles to sell ads. We invest in security. We're very transparent about where and when we request personal data and how we use that personal data, and we protect it very carefully. We try to make our products as accessible as possible. Our new rebuilt products offer very high standards of accessibility, for instance, with text-to-speech support, keyboard-only navigation, and other features in this kind of area. And also, above all, users are not locked into Mendeley. You can export your data anytime, and we provide the tools and make it easy to do so. Moreover, if you're an MIE customer and your researchers are enjoying the benefits of MIE, we actually continue to extend the benefits of MIE, the increased group size and more group members and so on, to the alumni for 12 months after they leave the institution. And even if that 12 months expires, our free offering is very generous. So researchers and students don't have to worry about losing any data at all if they change institutions. So really, we just wanted to reiterate that Mendeley is a trustworthy partner for you, and you can rely on us. So moving on, I'd love to talk to you about the product updates, which is the main reason, hopefully, you're joining this call. As I said, we've been investing in quality and we've been investing in discovery. Why have we been doing this? Well, access to research is difficult, right? It's more difficult than it should be. It's fragmented. You can't access content from all publishers in one place very easily at all. Access journeys take a longer time than they should if you're trying to collect a series of papers. And what we're trying to do within Mendeley is just to try to simplify your workflow and accelerate your research. So we're trying to simplify access to research from different publishers into one unified experience so that you can build your knowledge faster and more effectively. In the service of doing that, we've been investing in our web catalog. Mendeley catalog now contains over 100 million quality records and provides access, provided that you have the right entitlements, to over 70 million of those, of which about half are open access records and the other half are subscription records. This catalog is actually continually growing and improving in quality. So I wrote these slides several weeks ago when we were at 100 million records. We're now actually over 110 million records. So we're continuously ingesting new sources of data to make this a very comprehensive catalog. You can find what you need to find in the Mendeley catalog. We also provide millions of useful reading recommendations every week by leveraging our data science platform, which is based upon article graphs that we have from our aggregated user base. Obviously, that's all anonymized and all not able to be personally identified, but the net effect of the graph is to be able to provide really great recommendations for further reading around different topics, which our researchers find very, very useful. So as you can see here, we've been rebuilding Mendeley Discovery. We also call it Mendeley Search. We haven't quite finalized which name to call it. And we have good relevant results across our huge catalog straight out of the box. We're adding more and more filters each week to the Mendeley Search to make it more usable and more responsive to what you want to find. Today, you can filter journal, you can filter by document type, books or journal articles or other types of media. You can filter by author, you can filter by open access. We also have within the Mendeley search results the add to library and view PDF one-click links. These are a real time saver for getting things into your library. And we're working to improve our view PDF implementation so that we can get even subscribed articles in one click, subject to entitlement and authentication checks. So this is, if you're a user of the Mendeley Reference Manager. This is, of course, very convenient to be able to get things straight into your library in one click from search results. Even if you're not a user of the Mendeley Reference Manager, to be able to view PDFs from other websites in one click, rather than having to dive around and look for where the PDF download link is on a different website every time, is a nice convenience, saving you precious seconds and minutes every day. This product is really one of our top priorities right now, and we're listening to how it can be more useful. And I wanted to emphasize that the feedback that you give us really gets listened to and taken on by product managers like Jonathan and I. So for instance, we found that our users wanted quicker preview of the abstracts of documents. And 3 weeks ago, we were able to implement a right-hand preview panel, which comes out with the abstract within it. So you can more quickly preview documents without having to go all the way through to a full catalog page. We found that our users wanted to not have to type so much. They wanted predictive type ahead search, and we've implemented that since last week. And we're currently looking at whether to include a catalog search within the new reference manager. So if you have any feedback on that, please do let us know. We are listening. Moving on, we also have rebuilt the catalog, as I said, and extended it to over 100,000 records. Obviously, we will have some librarians on this call, I'm sure, and you will know all about cataloging. So I only just want to focus on a couple of features rather than take you through this product in depth. One nice differentiator from other catalogs is we have this readers over time stat, this relevance over time. And this is a proprietary metric that's based on our Mendeley reader community. What we found in various pieces of independent research, which you can even look up on Mendeley, and has not been produced in collaboration with us, but independently, is that high levels of readers is correlated with later predicted citation impact. So it's a really nice way to identify papers that maybe in traditional metrics don't have quite the level of impact yet that you can measure in citations, which is quite a lagging metric, but you can predict, lots of people are adding this to their library, so maybe it's an interesting paper to take a look at and to evaluate. Another thing that we have here is a nice little utility called the Quick Citation Picker. And what we found was, sometimes people were just searching for things like format my citation in APA style, and they wanted to get that citation really quickly. So we provide that interface to be able to do that job really quickly, and they like to come and use this. Finally, we have a feature which is a taster of forward citation searching. So forward citation searching is obviously a really powerful discovery technique to take at a point in time this paper, and then you want to look forward and say, okay, so what cited this in the future from this paper? We've got a taste of that within Mendeley, and it's not as comprehensive as Scopus, but we give you a preview of that, and it links nicely into the Scopus cited by journey as well, if you want to access that from the catalog pages. So really, we are really proud of our discovery and catalog investments. We also have Mendeley Suggest in the discovery space. This has been around for a long time. It's so popular. We have a million users more of Mendeley Suggest. And what it enables you to do is discover relevant related reading. It comes straight to you in your inbox, and we have really good engagement because, obviously not everybody always wants to come back to the Mendeley website to see what's new. Maybe you want to be nudged about, what things are good to read for you directly by email. And what we found with Suggest is that, the more you use Mendeley, the better it gets, because as you're adding papers to your library over time, we can take that into account in our models, and we're able to use that information to generate really, really good predictions to help you stay up to date and avoid missing out on new papers that are relevant to your research. We've rebuilt our website interface with Suggest as well recently, so it's cleaner and easier to load on mobile devices, for instance, and we've also been investing in our recommenders to make sure they're super reliable and able to generate the recommendations very reliably. So just to be very clear on Suggest, sometimes people think, Mendeley is an Elsevier company, so you must only be recommending Elsevier content, right? No, no, that is not the case. We are completely source neutral here at Mendeley. We recommend content from any publisher anywhere, simply based on what's the right thing for you, and not specific to any publisher. Mendeley Web Importer is another solution that we've been working hard on over the past year or two. There are two big reasons why. Mendeley Web Importer is a browser extension, right? And so we want you to be able to import to Mendeley from anywhere across the web. We want you to be able to organize as you go. We don't want to lock you into Elsevier discovery tools if there are others that you prefer. Sometimes we have, for instance, medical researchers who just like to use PubMed mostly. They should be able to use Mendeley conveniently too. And so Mendeley Web Importer is a great tool to have in your browser to enable you to access Mendeley conveniently and import your references, even when you're not using our Mendeley discovery tools. The number two thing is that we want the extension to really help you by automating clicks and interactions that you need to get PDFs. What do I mean by that? Well, usually if you're trying to get access to a PDF on a website, you've got to go through lots and lots of clicking backwards and forwards between different kinds of websites, looking for different PDF download links. Well, you should have a little helper which is able to do some of that for you. And this is exactly what Mendeley Web Importer is there to do, to help you save time in navigating between pages to get the full text that you want. So the way that Web Importer works is that it detects references and their metadata automatically from the page, and it retrieves, if there's partial metadata only available on the page, then it will retrieve it from our central servers, the rest of the metadata, so it saves you time in entering it manually. It's very reliable. As I said, the quality of our catalog is very good. But if any errors have sneaked in, you can also edit and correct your metadata before importing to your library to keep your library nice and organized and all the metadata complete. You can also easily add to collections and the groups as you go. So if you want to share papers, one copy into your private library and one copy into your group library for your research group, you can do that very easily with Mendeley Web Importer, just in one click to select the folder and the group at the same time. From a reading point of view, Mendeley Web Importer also retrieves and imports open access PDFs. It also retrieves subscribed PDFs when the user is entitled and authenticated to do so. And it does this by taking advantage of the fact that the browser extension is installed within the browser. So it has the same IP address as the browser and is able to access papers on behalf of the user if they want to request them for download. So typically the Web Importer will have a process where if we have a PDF that we've sourced through Mendeley, we can display a view PDF link straight away. If we have a PDF that we need to find from another publisher that's subscribed, we can make the requests to locate that PDF, and then at the point at which the user clicks a view PDF or add to library, we will then make the request from the publisher to retrieve it on their behalf so that the user doesn't have to go through that action of go to the other website and click on the download link. So it's scripting and automating that interaction to save time. And again, we're iterating on this all the time. So for instance, we heard from our Spanish speaking customers that actually they would like a localized version of the Mendeley Web Importer. And so some of you may have noticed that since about 1 month ago, we've actually had a localized Spanish interface in the Mendeley Web Importer. We're monitoring feedback on how popular this is. So if you like it, please do let us know. We would love to hear from you. Since getting to a PDF is so critical to users, we've recently become more proactive in suggesting one-click links to PDF. So what we now do is for some certain websites, if you are approaching a catalog record, we can pop in a view PDF widget in a consistent place so that your researchers who are using Mendeley can come to expect, oh, I understand. I just click on the view PDF Mendeley link, and then I can preview the PDF. And from the preview PDF, I can get it into my library in one click. And this is useful because, quite often, sometimes you have a paper in mind and you just want to get a copy of that paper for sure because maybe somebody recommended it to you. But other times you just want to have a look at the paper first, really, before you decide you want to have it in your library or not. And Mendeley Web Importer facilitates this journey nicely. A really powerful use case for Mendeley Web Importer that we're working hard on at the moment is a bulk reference import. So let's say you're doing a literature review. You want to review full, a whole set of search results. Maybe it's 10 search results that we've got here, all of the papers that are published on this topic within 2020, let's say. And, if you were to do this in the traditional way, it's going to be really time consuming, right? You have to click view a publisher, go and find the link, click download, it will come into your folder, and then you'll go back to your browser again, find the next link, click on that, open in a new page. Maybe you have to do some login, download, come back, and at the end, drag all the PDFs into your Mendeley Reference Manager. It's going to take you, a few minutes to do that. Why would you spend minutes when you can spend seconds? Mendeley Web Importer can automatically go and get all that stuff for you all in one go. And you can automate away a lot of the pain. I've even had users come to me saying that they want to be able to import, hundreds of references this way when they're conducting a really big review. At the moment, we maximum allow up to 100 downloads at a time. But again, we're listening and we're very encouraged to hear feedback on how this feature is being used within Mendeley Web Importer. So that's pretty much all I got to say about discovery and access to. I hope that's been quite useful for you. I'm now going to hand over to Jonathan so that he can take you through some of the new features in our Mendeley Reference Manager product. So over to you, Jonathan.
Hello. Thank you very much, Matt. Hopefully I will be as eloquent and as paced out. I fear that I always speed up and talk too quickly at these events. We are going to be doing a bit of a dance, as Matt is sharing, so apologies for the cues. So Mendeley Reference Manager, it probably looks very, very different to what you were seeing before with Mendeley Desktop. We decided, I think after 6, 7 years, 8 years, that we had to rebuild from the ground up. It wasn't an easy decision. It was a necessary decision. Some of the stuff that was built on was not going to last, very much longer, and we wanted to make sure that the stuff we did build on was going to be usable for everybody for as long as possible. Doesn't mean that Mendeley Desktop is not going anywhere yet. We're still building MRM. The stuff you see today is where we are today. We appreciate that there is more stuff we need to do to make it as good in some respects. Mendeley Desktop is very feature rich. It's had a long time to develop, so it does what you need it to do. We realize that it's a journey, but it's a journey where we need you to be with us, you to give us feedback on what is useful, what is not useful, and how we've implemented it. And I'm happy to report that if you've ever used the web version of Mendeley Reference Manager, that has already been transitioned to the new look. And as you'll see in the demos that come up, we have actually decided one of the key things we wanted to do was make the desktop and the web version very similar. So going back to the basics, what is Mendeley Reference Manager? It's a place to store all your references. You saw Matt there showing you the hundreds of ways where his tools can bring more and more content in. But this is what we sort of find, people sort of say, this is your reference library, this is your truth, this is all the references you've added to your library. It makes sense of your research by keeping things together, allowing you to organize them through the tags, through the collections. Collections are just another word for folders. The reason why we've changed them is that one reference can belong to many folders, and a folder doesn't really work that way. So we've decided to rename it to collections just to make it more apparent that that's how it works. And we're constantly adding ways to make your references, help you make sense of those references. Next slide, please. One of the key benefits, and this was technically a fun endeavor, was to enable real-time sync. I've only been here for 2 years. I've been looking through the old support tickets, and I have to say most of them revolve around issues with manual syncing with Mendeley Desktop. And we really wanted to remove that. And you can sort of see here on the right, you've got the tool that Matt was showing you around sort of importing directly. And without you having to do anything, it automatically appears in your library. We found this to be very powerful. That reduces the chance of any data loss. It makes sure everything is there and allows you to work very, very quickly. So real-time sync has also been the backbone for some of the group functionality, which you saw Matt show you. No longer do you have to type an annotation and then manually sync it and then other people have to manually sync it, to manually get it, to then reply and then manually sync it. That's all done in real time, and it's been a great benefit to the collaboration work. It makes it far smoother. Thank you. Next slide. This is my baby, I have to say. This is around notebooks. So one of the pieces of research we did when we were looking at Mendeley Reference Manager when it was starting up was actually, how did people work? You're all familiar with the fact that the Mendeley desktop, like most of its competitors, has a little section there to write notes about the reference. But what we realized is people always had another program open, a piece of paper open. They had something else open when they were doing their research, because a lot of the time you had your theme, you had the thing you wanted to take notes on, and then you were opening up multiple PDFs. So we decided to launch a bit of an investigation to see how this would work. We readily admit that this is just sort of the first legs to see usage, see how it works. And what you can see here, the demo has been running by while I've sort of been talking, so apologies for giving the game away. But right now you can sort of see I'm highlighting a piece of the text. I highlight and I want to keep that, and I can add it to a notebook. And now on the right, you can see it there. You can add text around it, maybe say why you've done it. But the most important thing here is we want to make sure that you do not lose the source of what you're typing. One of the key issues we saw was people forgetting where a note came from. By merely clicking on the highlight on the notebook, you get taken back to the PDF it's stored. There's obviously many more ways we can do this. It's a very interesting landscape right now with the notebook sort of note-taking and organizational world. And we are looking at what's happening over there and seeing what we can bring in, what will be valuable for you. But this is something which I'm very proud of, and we're going to be working on it and continue to work on it. This is, yeah, this is going to be very interesting. And I hope this is interesting for you because it allows you not to lose where you were, to actually make your notes useful, to do it once and then rely that it's there and then not forget where things came from. Next slide, thank you. Talking about groups here, you can sort of see, I already gave the game away. Apologies, it's not my first time doing this, but it's you can sort of see I've told you what happens here. First thing you might notice there, it says shared messages. It's one of the key pieces of feedback we got with the Mendeley desktop was actually, you may not have realized you were editing a shared document or your personal document. And sometimes you may not want to put some of the comments that you put on your personal document onto a shared document. So we've made it super clear. You can see in the PDF, it says shared there. When you right click to make a sticky note, it says shared sticky note. You've got to be aware. And we're trying to make sure that actually there's two distinct documents there. It's not that what you saw before, where it was like one document across both areas. And what hopefully you saw there was actually immediate. You see someone typed, you saw Nathan's little face, he's my boss, and then you saw Matt, and then you could have that more of a dialogue. It's immediate. You don't have to forget that you've synced and then what's happened. And that was very beneficial. Thank you, Matt. He's being the demo driver today. And immediately it pops up. So yes, that's very powerful. But at the other end of it, what do you want to have? You want to have Mendeley Site. And one of the key things we've done with this is that you can see it looks much fresher, it looks much newer, and because it's part of what you're going to notice here, it's an add-on, it's actually already accessible. So it's very, very powerful. Next slide, please. So citation is where you would look at all your references and actually bring it into the document that you're working on. You might remember Mendeley Desktop, it wasn't compatible with Word Online or Word for iPad. It now is. You can use it across those two things, so you don't even have to have it installed, just on the web, and you've got access to it. And by that also means that it's standalone. You no longer need to have Mendeley Desktop running on the background. You no longer need to be on a temporary computer and have to install Mendeley Desktop to even install the plugin to then install it on Word. It's standalone. And if you want, I'm not going to take it personally, but if you want, you could merely just import everything using the tools Matt showed you through the discovery, batching hundreds of things, and then just have the citation, and then you've got it all there. It all imports correctly. That's very, very powerful for us. And I'm happy to sort of report that. Well, one of the key things with that is actually the things that you write, the papers you write, take months, if not years. So we appreciate you'll have a lot of work in progress right now with actually going, hey, I've got this document, I want to use a new feature because I want to use Word Online. We're currently alpha testing with specific users the conversion process of actually going from an old version of Mendeley Desktop to the new version. We're using alpha test because you've got to make sure we don't lose any content. And that's a difficult thing to do, especially with all the different permutations of computers, operating systems, etc. that people have. But that's right now in alpha testing, and I've used it and it worked. So I was very impressed with it. Next slide, thank you. So a key thing here, it works with Office 365. You can sort of see on the right, it's just a plugin. One of the things you have to do is just go to the Microsoft plugin sort of area, and then I think it's called App Source, and then find it and you can download it. It links automatically with your references. You can change your citation styles, much like you could in the old one. These are the top 10, I believe. You can select another style there at the bottom if you use not one of the top 10. And then finally, you can insert the bibliography, which appears there at the bottom. This has been slowly developing over this course. You're just adding lots of features like adding page names, being able to split things up, not to show the author names, etc. So this is definitely being worked on and is iterative with your feedback. So we do really appreciate your feedback, and that I think can be found in the More button. So if you do download this, please go into More and give us your feedback. This helps us drive and know what you want to build, because Mendeley Desktop is huge. We can't build everything immediately at the same time, and your influence is really, really needed to help us prioritize what we do. Next slide, please.
So that's that. Thank you for taking us through. Thank you for taking us through that, Jonathan.
Thank you.
So we would just like to introduce one more thing before we move on to have some questions from you, our audience, which we are really looking forward to answering. We want to introduce to you the Mendeley Discovery Program. And Mendeley Discovery Program is one of the ways that we can have dialogue with our customers and with our buyers. It really helps us here on the product and design team to discover and to deeply understand what it is that you are thinking about, what it is that you are talking about, what it is that is on your mind, what it is that you are facing challenges with, so that we can use your input and your feedback in our discussions within Mendeley to make our solutions work for you as best as we possibly can. And the Mendeley Discovery Program has two parts. The first part is our resource discovery panel, our e-resource discoverability panel. So we recognize that institutions make big investments in discovery and access, right? You have knowledge bases, you have discovery layers, you have different kinds of library tooling to help reach customers and to help support them as they're trying to access, in addition to all the traditional work of cataloging and issuing loans and so on, interlibrary loans, document delivery services, and the rest. And so we are not aiming to replace that. We would just like to be complementary and to enable your subscribed resources to become more discoverable within Mendeley. For the users who do start their user journey outside of an institutional website, maybe they're going to Google Scholar, maybe they're going to PubMed, maybe they're coming to Mendeley. We want to help them to be able to get access to your subscribed resources as much as possible and not to hit a dead end in their discovery journey and end up, in the worst case, paying for articles that you're already subscribed to, which we know has happened in some circumstances. So what I would like to say to you is that if you would like to have a one-on-one session with the Mendeley team about how we can make your e-resources more discoverable within Mendeley, please do liaise with your customer consultant to arrange that talk with us, because we will be very happy to have that discussion with you about how we can help discoverability of your content. For the second thing, we have another set of our Mendeley Discovery program, which is the customer interviews part. So we are in 2021 looking at refocusing on adding value to our institutional buyers as well as our customers. We've done a lot of work over the last couple of years for the researcher and the student who is using the referencing software. We also want to make sure that the institution is able to gain the credit that it deserves for facilitating access to content, but also to be able to help you to answer the questions that you've got with respect to who's collaborating with who, or you know, how is content being consumed and used across Mendeley. And again, if you are interested in providing us with your feedback, which we will include into the development of the product, then please do get in touch with your customer consultant, who can put you in touch with the product and design teams within Mendeley. We do listen to our customer feedback very closely. We do sometimes include the features that are requested directly. Not all the time, but it depends on the balance. But you know, we do have things that make their way through into the product, and we do have some great relationships with some of our customers, where we talk every couple of months or so, just to understand what's changing, what's new, and be able to respond to that with our product offering. So if that's of any interest to you at all, please do get in contact with your customer consultant, and we would like to look forward to speaking with you on that. Excuse me. So with no further ado, we'd like to move on to Q&A, if that's at all possible. So I'm going to hand back over to Tatiana.
Thank you, Matt. I think Melita and I are going to send you the answer and questions that we are reading in our panel. I don't know if Melita wants to do a clarification about that.
Yes, perfect, thank you. So what we'll do is that we will read the questions that are in Spanish to you guys. The questions that are in English, you guys can see them in the chat. I'm sure we have like a few of them, and some of them I know that Jonathan has been answering them. And Dario will be translating in the Spanish mode, as he has been doing with the presentation. Okay, so to begin, one of the first questions is from Cindy Sanchez, and she is asking that for users who prefer Mendeley Desktop, does this add-on have the same new features as online?
Jonathan, would you like to take that one, as you work within the reference management group?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just trying to think whether she may be referring to the web importer. So both the desktop and MRM, Mendeley Reference Manager, both use the same library. So to most effect, they're actually interchangeable. You can switch from one to the other. So everything sort of Matt showed you, where we had the import happening and you had Mendeley Reference Manager there, it's actually identical to Mendeley Desktop, apart from the fact that you have to sync and be online to do it. So if that's the question that's being asked. If I haven't understood the question, just please retype. But yeah, we're using the same backend when stuff goes in using web importer, or stuff goes out through Site. It's still the same backend, but you just need to click sync to make sure it's all there.
Yeah, to put it another way, the data is synced into the Mendeley cloud, will be available within all the different products. So if you add data to the Mendeley cloud through Mendeley Desktop, that will be available within Mendeley Reference Manager. It will also be available through Mendeley Site. If you add data through Mendeley Web Importer into the Mendeley, if it's in the Mendeley cloud, it will be available in all the other platforms. So for the users who prefer Mendeley Desktop, if you're using Mendeley Web Importer, the data will make its way into Mendeley Desktop, just as well as it will make its way into Mendeley Reference Manager. For the users who are using the Mendeley Desktop Citation plugin, the data will make its way just as well into there as it will into the Mendeley Site product. So all of the products are powered by the same cloud service, Mendeley Cloud. I hope that helps, but if it's wrong, please let us know.
Okay, perfect, thank you. I'm sure she'll let us know in the comments. Okay, so the next question is from Santiago Arias Montoya. And he asks if some errors that we had for working on Mac have been fixed. So that's the question. I'm not sure if you guys would like to touch on some of the errors that can't be presented on the Mac?
I can speak to this a little bit. Firstly, we are continuing to fix bugs on Mendeley Desktop. It's not the case that Mendeley Desktop is, suddenly going away tomorrow or anything like that. So we continue to prioritize and fix the bugs on Mendeley Desktop. What I would say is, as I mentioned before, the Mendeley Desktop software is pretty old and quite difficult to work with these days. Our pace of fixing the bugs is maybe not quite as quick as we would like, but we certainly prioritize by severity and make sure that the major bugs on Mac are not outstanding as much as possible. With a longer term view on it, and I mean 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time, when the majority of the users of our Mendeley software are really happy and really satisfied that now they don't miss anything from desktop, eventually it will be retired. And obviously the majority of our engineering effort is on making sure that the new Mendeley Reference Manager is getting all of the features and being as reliable as possible and catching up to Mendeley Desktop functionally. So there's no need to worry.
To slightly sort of just make sure that we're all on the same page here. You know, we are honest partners to each other. Mendeley Desktop has a lot of features. And one of the things that we want your feed, and unfortunately it doesn't have a lot of analytics, so we can't actually say how many people are using this. So one of the key things we want to have from you is to understand when stuff is important, because we've also got the opportunity to build new things. So for example, we spent a couple of weeks integrating the ability to find documents directly into your reference manager. And that's available now on Mendeley Reference Manager. So we had to make that tough decision: is do we spend these 2 weeks, just for my little team, there's several teams, building that in because we think it's very useful, or do we look to all the different parity things? And it's a decision we're going to have to make across, and we do want to make sure we've got usability parity, that everything you need to do can be done. It may not be exactly the same. So for example, as an example, on the old web library, you had the ability to export to Word. And that was because you didn't have a Word citation tool. Now you do. So that makes us ask the question, is this necessary? So we are making sure that we're using our time wisely. But because of the lack of some of the analytics, we do need your feedback. Sorry, Cindy.
No, it's quite all right. And just to make sure, the original question was about bugs on Mac. We certainly are continuing to fix bugs on desktop. And if you have a bug report, the team will certainly take a look at that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next question that we have is 3 questions from Andres Santos. So I will read each one of them to you guys. The first one is, how do you filter by tags in the web version of Mendeley's library? The second question is it possible to manage the bib keys that Mendeley has to have a specific format, such as author, title, year? And the third question is, why is the Mendeley desktop database encrypted?
So I'm going to answer them in order, funnily enough. So the first one was about searching by tags. So we're going to be, if you look at currently the Mendeley Web library, there's a little filter there which you can already filter by authors. In our short-term roadmap, we are going to be adding tags to that. So you will soon be able to quickly see all the tags that exist in your library and then tag them there. So that isn't there yet. I think if you do type the tag in, it'll try its best, but it doesn't really work well when there's a space and a few other things in there. But it's something we are tackling very soon. Sorry, what was the second question? I got carried away there.
Yes. The second question is it possible to manage the bib keys that Mendeley has to have a specific format, such as author, title, year?
Are you talking about the citation keys? Is that the field?
I think the question is referring to that.
Okay, so the citation key has a default in MRM, like Mendeley Desktop. If you go into the reference, you can actually type over it to sort of see whatever you want. That's what's currently available there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I believe in Mendeley Desktop, you're able to set that. That's another one of the features. So if that's a feature that's important to you, it'd be great to receive the feedback into the team so that we can take that on board into our thinking as we develop Mendeley Reference Manager.
Okay, perfect. And the third question is, why is the Mendeley Desktop database encrypted?
I'll have to find out exactly why. I'm only been here for 2 years. I can find out why and send it across a bit before my time.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So the next question is, why can't I see my folders or groups in Mendeley Site when adding an appointment?
So yeah, we're aware that this is something we want to build. I can see already had a sneaky look, and we're already looking from a technical point of view how we can search by collections. So we are aware of this. I'm going to just try and take all these as feedback to add them. We've got a little knowledge source where we sort of add all these feedback to make sure we actually understand what's important for people. So I'm adding all of these in.
It's being recorded, so we'll make sure that the product manager who looks after the Mendeley site, Marine, is getting this feedback. But as Jonathan alluded, it's certainly top of mind at the moment to restore the folders and group functionality, and you should expect to see it. I'm not going to promise an exact date, but maybe not too long, let's say.
Yeah, so with the collections definitely we're looking at now. But yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so next question is from Leticia Hernandez, and she is asking if the Site 2 will continue to work in Mendeley only if Mendeley Desktop is open as before?
So the wider question is, will Mendeley's, the old Site tool, still work? It uses technical sort of side. It does use a service that is slowly being killed by Microsoft, which is one of the reasons why we're trying to move away from it. So we do intend to support it as far as we can, but we are aware that Microsoft aren't supporting that method anymore.
And just in case the question is whether the site plugin can be used without Mendeley Desktop being open, the answer is yes. Yeah, absolutely, it can. You don't need to have Mendeley Desktop or Mendeley Reference Manager open. All you need is Word open with the Word Mendeley Site plugin installed, and you don't need to use Desktop. The Desktop doesn't need to be open.
No.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry, I lost the last question. Give me 1 second. Okay, so the next question is from Mario Alberto, and he is asking that if it is possible to export his collections or folders in bibtext in a separate way.
I'll have to just remind myself while we do that. So there are export options. If you go into the Mendeley Reference Manager, and there are bibtext export options. I'm unfamiliar where they do whether they have the collection in it. That's the thing which I don't believe is supported, unfortunately, but you can export your entire library. Okay, I'll add that to our feedback list. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jonathan and Melita, sorry that I'm going to interrupt. We don't hear Dario in the translation. So if you could repeat your answer to the question, because we lost the Dario translation. I don't know. Okay. Now we hear Dario. Thank you.
Hi, Dario. Dario's doing a very good job. Hope he says that. So there are export options within Mendeley Reference Manager, but I do not believe it has collection as an entity within that. I will pass this as feedback up to the product manager.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is actually in English, and it's from Javier Riaño, that says, where can we find information about the document typologies when you are going to add a manual reference in Add Entry Manually? How to add maps or images to those types?
So I don't know why this has happened, but I agree with you. When you add a manual entry, there are only 2 options there. But the moment that you create it, you can actually then change the type again. I know I have kicked the product manager who owns this a little bit, and we all appreciate that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you just create it using one of the existing two, and then once it's created, you can then change it again. But I appreciate that is confusing.
In terms of the types that are supported, it will be interesting to understand the additional types that are required to be cited. Obviously, at the moment, a lot of types that are not journal articles or books or patents or legal cases or any of the, I think it's 18 or so types that we have, these are going to be falling into the generic type at the moment. Obviously, we recognize that if you are working, for instance, in cartology and citing a lot of maps, that will be unsatisfactory for you. So we are looking at reviewing the types and seeing if we can extend them or even provide a functionality to manually create types. And again, if you have specific formats that you would like to be able to cite, we definitely would like to hear from you so that we can prioritize which ones we implement when we get around to extending the types that we support.
Perfect, thank you. We have one question from Hector Rafael, and he is saying, well, his question is, what is the difference between Mendeley and Sotero? They look very similar in so many characteristics and functionalities.
Well, that's a dangerous question. I would suggest, I've used Sotero when I was an undergrad, and it served many of my purposes. I would recommend that you give it a try. And the one thing that I would suggest you do is take a look at the plugins. That will probably be the key difference. Is it's open source and people can make their own plugins. Obviously, with a word of warning that they may not have been tested, but that would probably be the area that I would take a look at and explore yourself.
I would say as well that people tend to talk about Mendeley as being only the reference manager. As hopefully I've been able to describe earlier on, we have a whole suite of integrated services to take you on the journey all the way from discovery through to citation that are integrated. We're increasingly looking at making sure that the portfolio of research products that Elsevier offers, including Science Direct, Scopus, and so on, are deeply integrated with Mendeley so that we have a really smooth and seamless interoperable journey. And these are not the kind of functionality that is also covered by Sotero. For instance, Sotero is not sending you great recommendations on what would be a good paper to look next at in your research. So there is that as well.
Perfect, thank you. We have another question that is, how does Latex work with Mendeley Reference Manager?
So with that, there are several good guides around that, very deep to go in right now, but at a very high level. It's around the biblioteca export and the citation keys that I mentioned before. I don't think this is probably the right avenue to go through in detail about that, but yeah, that's at a high level.
If you need dedicated support on that, then please do raise it through your customer consultant, or even get in touch with us via the support team or through the in-product feedback links, and we'll be able to take a deeper dive on that after this session.
Okay, perfect, thank you. The next question is that if the relevance paper feature is available on the desktop version?
Do you mean the related papers? So recommendations within the context of the new reference manager?
I think, yes, I think the question is referring to that, but if not, please, Claudia, please, we ask you to clarify it on the chat.
So I can be quite honest and say that doesn't exist yet on Mendeley Reference Manager, but it is something we're looking at. Actually, we've got a large project on looking at further integrations around Discovery and Mendeley Reference Manager.
Okay, perfect, thank you. The next question is from Arturo Marquez, and he's asking that, he's saying that Reference Manager Beta, the earliest version, was for 32-bit architecture. He needs, or he is asking if it is still available, because some of his students do not have a new PC or laptop models.
Could you pass my details on to that person? I just want to understand more around that, the timeframes of the computers, etc. That'd be okay?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I'd remind everyone that Mendeley Reference Manager, the new reference manager, is identical on the web and in the client version. So for 100%, it definitely works on the web. But as Jonathan said, for specifics of which operating machines and operating models and machines will be supported, it's best to get in contact directly so we can take it to the technical team.
And one of the nice things we've actually done with the web version is, to a certain degree, you can work offline. So if you do lose your internet connection for a little bit of time, that's fine. But if you do close the web browser, goodbye. But if you do work in an area where you have intermittent internet access, it'll store everything. And then once you get back online, it'll sync everything back up again. So that's one of the key ways we wanted to tackle this.
Okay, perfect. The next question is that, will Mendeley Reference Manager be linked with any Sotero version?
I don't fully understand that question. If you wouldn't mind pinging me with more details about that, I think there's more specifics. Ping,
okay.
email me, yeah.
Yes, I think this person will write again on the questions. Okay, so another question that we have is from Rocio Ramirez, and she is asking that, well, she is saying Mendeley is an incredible tool. How much does the full version cost?
Would you like to answer this one, Matt?
Me? Yeah, sure. So the free version offers 2 gigabytes of personal storage and 100 megabytes of group storage. Almost all of the Mendeley sales are done through institutional packages. So the cost to the researcher is free, and the institution pays for the package as part of a bigger deal, including access to Science Direct and other services from Elsevier. So really, it's a question for the customer consultant. But we do have a small amount of people who choose to extend their library even beyond 2 gigabytes. The fee for that is around about 10 English pounds per month, I believe, or 120 pounds a year. So it's about the same in dollars. But like I said, the majority of people who get the premium version with the extra group collaboration and so on, that tends to be procured through your institution, and our customer consultants and account managers will be really happy to discuss pricing with you.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is that when will desktop support disappear and the new reference manager can the new reference manager be added to Google Docs?
So that's something which we have had a lot of requests about, but we are wanting to make sure that the current site tool for Word works well. We need to make sure that works well and doesn't disappoint people as they're finishing their theses. I don't know what the plural for that would be, but we are looking at the Google Docs now. That has been a very, very strong request, and we're trying to understand how best to serve that while also continuing to build and make the Word version better. So we are looking at it right now. I've actually got a meeting tomorrow about it, interestingly enough, but it's that question of the cost of doing that compared to doing something else, which we're looking at, because there's still stuff to do on the word citation plugin.
Okay, perfect. The next question that we have is that, is it possible to work with Csl Editor from Mendeley Site?
It's a stand, so the Csl Editor isn't from us. It's a third-party tool. There is that I'm gonna read a bit more, but there have been requests to create a CSL editor in Site, and I'm going to add that to that request.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. The next question is okay, hold on, sorry. I lost the question. Okay. The next question is that is any update being worked on so that when a person creates the Mendeley account with a domain already specified, it will be automatically updated or added to a group and not done manually?
I believe this is relating to the MIE, that if somebody comes to Mendeley and registers with their institutional email address, that the way that MIE used to work is that the MIE benefits would only be given to the people who join the specific institutional group. I believe that this has not been the case for more than a year, maybe 2 years, and I think it now works the way that the question asker has described, which is that there is a domain match on the user signing up, and then they get the MIE privileges automatically as a result of signing up with a email address in the domain. But if you want to write in with your email address, I can go and double check that, but I'm almost certain that it now works in the way that you describe.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Well, we have a few comments of people of congratulations. Just by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so the next question is that I think this person is explaining the last question about Sotero. So he's saying that it will be linked with another reference manager, such as Sotero or others when you are going to import the document. So I think as I understand this question, he is asking that when importing a document, when you are going to import a document, is it linked to another reference manager such as Sotero?
I don't believe, Jonathan, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that we have immediate plans to make available a direct integration such that when you add documents to Mendeley Reference Manager, it's also going to update as a Sotero library. It would be possible to do that yourself using Mendeley's Open API, if that was something that was really needed within your institutional setting. And we have various developer guides which can help you get set up with writing basic applications that can read the contents of user libraries when they authorize it. And then obviously like we say, we don't lock up your data, it's available to use. So it would be possible to do that, but I don't think we're planning to do that out of the box. That's right, isn't it, Jonathan?
That's my understanding, yes.
Thank you. We have another question from Manuel Armeta. He's asking, are we going to have changes in the app, Mendeley app?
Yes, every 2 weeks we're going to be updating Mendeley Reference Manager. That's one of the key differences. So thank you for that. With Mendeley Desktop, it's very difficult to do an update. It takes a lot of time and just basically around the foundations of it. So that's why you may have only seen an update, once a quarter, etc. So, but what we do now is we're sending an update every 2 weeks with whatever we've done in those 2 weeks. Bug fixes, features, and you can see that all on our release notes. You can sort of see exactly what we're delivering. And that's, I have to say, it's interesting trying to do everything in 2 weeks, but I hope it does show that we are delivering, we are improving, we do listen to your feedback, and I guess apologies for how often you're going to be updating your Mendeley Reference Manager.
Although, of course, on the web, it's continuously updated anyway.
Yeah.
So you always get the latest version when using the web.
Perfect, thank you. And Mario Alberto Garcia Murillo is asking if Mendeley will keep doing support for Linux in the desktop.
Yes, we have a Linux version available. There are no plans to stop that. So yeah.
We like Linux. We're going to keep developing for it.
Yeah, Linux. So yeah.
Perfect. And I don't know if I'm missing another question.
Yes, we have a few more, but I'm just making sure that Melita is seeing the same screen. So just give me a few minutes, please. So one of us is going to do the translation for you. Okay, I believe Tati and Melita have no more, but I have a few more in my screen.
Thank you. Sorry, I am.
Yes, I also see 24 questions missing. So if you see Matt and Jonathan, there are some in English. If you like to resolve them, the first one I have is from Heira Georgina Valdez Bocanegra.
Yes. So when it comes to scheduling detailed training to use the references manager, we are certainly running training sessions through our advisor program quite regularly. So my initial ask for you would be to send an email to community@mendeley.com. I'll type that in the chat as well, community@mendeley.com, and they will be able to liaise with you about that.
We also have another question with Diego Chaparro, and he's asking that he was doing the exercise from desktop and web, and for any reason he's not having the update, or he's not having the update of the data. So what are your tips to these bugs that maybe the people will have?
Sure. So I guess for this one, this is something that happens reasonably often with Web Importer. It can happen that people are signed in with different accounts in the web and the desktop quite often, especially if you've gone from a personal address to an institutional address. So the first thing to do is to get in touch with support anyway, and they will help take you through the steps to troubleshoot this problem. More often than not, it ends up being that there's an account mismatch and actually the sync is fine. But if there are any other issues, then the support team will be able to help diagnose. I can put in the answer, the link to the support website as well.
Perfect, thank you. And other question is from Manuel Armenta, and he's asking if all these updates that you show us in the session are going to be a global change, or are you going to have specifically dates for Latin America, or everything is going to be simultaneous?
Simultaneous from Mendeley Reference Manager. I believe the same
Yep,
thing.
we release everywhere. Everywhere all at once. So you get the updates just as soon as everybody else.
Perfect, thank you.
And if you'd like to get the updates 2 weeks earlier, we do run a beta program for users to test them out and see whether it works. So if you're interested in participating in that, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Perfect.
We have some comments and questions that are referring to specific problems. And as you guys mentioned, well, we ask everyone to please refer to the support page so that you guys can get those issues resolved. Those are the other comments that we have here. And I am sending the link that is of support. I'm not sure if you guys want to share like another link that is available. I have that's the one, right? the correct one. Okay, so other than that, the other questions that I see are referring to Google Docs that you have already answered. And of course, they congratulatory comments that they're on the other side, but like we have a few of them.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if Tatiana or Karen, have you seen other few questions? If not, then we can continue with.
Yes, I believe it's another one, sorry, that is very important. That is from Angela Gallego. It's just recent because it's about the new reference manager. And she's asking about if she download the Mendeley reference manager is going to modify the version that she already had.
I think that's a two-part question. So if you have Mendeley desktop installed, downloading Mendeley Reference Manager won't touch it. It's completely separate. There's no interaction between the two applications. You can run them both side by side even. If you have a version of the new Mendeley Reference Manager and you download another new copy of the Reference Manager, then the new one will overwrite the old one. Does that answer the question?
We would like you to actually install it side by side and do not uninstall your old desktop because some of the features aren't there yet. Like we've been very honest in saying we're building this. But we'd love you to explore it and to see whether it's suitable for your needs. So we would ask that you install it side by side at this point. And if you're then comfortable, great, tell us and uninstall the old one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. I just noticed the one that is directly to Reference Manager. So there is another one from Ana Aurora Barrientos that she's also asking about the new version of Mendeley. If it's only, if with Word 2013, will we work or is just from 2016 or later?
I will have to confirm that. I do not believe it will work, but I will come back to you if it does. Okay.
Perfect, thank you. I don't think we have any more questions right now. If we do get some, we will make sure to answer the ones that you guys have already answered, and if not, we will we'll ask for your help on those remaining questions if we get some.
Sí. Sí, gracias. Solo para también comentarles a los asistentes que adicional al enlace de soporte, ¿cierto? Que hemos compartido y que Jonathan y Matt han compartido para que ustedes puedan enviar los errores que aparecen cuando usan Mendeley, también no lo pueden reenviar a nosotras, a sus customers consultants para cada región. Laura Llanes, que ya han tenido oportunidad de conocerla, ella va a apoyarlos con todo lo que tenga que ver en las instituciones en México, para que puedan ustedes también, en el caso de que sientan más cómodos, nosotros podemos ser los intermediarios también. Tatiana, en Centroamérica y el Caribe, podemos también apoyar en algunas, usualmente las que hemos visto aquí en términos de errores, de pronto ya lo hemos realizado y tenemos de pronto una respuesta más rápida para resolverlo. Y de mi parte, Karen Angulo, para todo lo que es Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, todo lo de la región andina, sé que nos acompañan también instituciones de Latinoamérica Sur, lo podemos direccionar también a nuestros colegas en esa región, entonces siéntanse libres de escribirnos y los vamos apoyando con términos en errores que vean dentro de la plataforma. Daniel, ¿cierto? Daniel, que es nuestro capacitador en México, Carlos Rojas, que es nuestro capacitador para toda la región andina, Centroamérica, también están capacitados para poder resolver estas inquietudes, ¿cierto? En términos de errores que reciban en esta nueva versión y pues en el momento de hacer la actualización.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So Matt and Jonathan, if you guys would like to say some last words to finish off the presentation.
Yes, I'd like to say, first of all, gracias. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. It's been a real pleasure to be able to speak to you, to show some of the latest features, also to be able to answer some of your questions. I would like to remind everybody, we are looking for participants in our Mendeley Discovery program. We really value your feedback. We would like your input to help make our products work even better for you and to address the problems that you see day to day in your libraries and in your institutions. So please, if you would like to participate, if you would like your voice to be heard in the product team discussions, you can reach us directly through the in-product feedback. You can send us an email. You can as well reach us through your customer consultant or account manager. And we will be really, very, very happy to hear from you and to talk with you one-to-one or in a small group setting so that we can work harder for you and make it easier for you to do your discovery and referencing activities with Mendeley. So thank you once again. Jonathan, would you like to say anything?
Muchísimas gracias a todos, pero mi hija está gritando, entonces voy a apagar mi micrófono.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias a nuestros invitados, muchísimas gracias a nuestros asistentes también a esta sesión de Elsevier Live. Solo les recordamos que les va a llegar un correo de cómo descargar su certificado de asistencia. También ustedes van a poder ingresar a Researcher Academy, donde podrán descargar la presentación que nos presentaron Matt y Jonathan el día de hoy. Agradecemos su compañía, los esperamos el siguiente martes en nuestras sesiones, como siempre, de Elsevier Live. Muchas gracias por su asistencia y que estén muy bien todos. No duden en contactarnos en caso de cualquier pregunta. Hasta luego.